Hello guys, and welcome back to our channel. Now in today's video I have some breaking news, and it's definitely one of the craziest things you will hear today. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield has made a jaw-dropping change to its insurance policy, and it's leaving many people stunned. As of now, if a surgery runs longer than expected, Anthem will not cover the full duration of anesthesia. Yes, you heard that right. If the surgeon takes longer than anticipated to complete the procedure, the patient will be stuck with the bill for the extra anesthesia time. Now, this policy change is specifically affecting 3 states: Connecticut, New York, and Missouri. The American Society of Anesthesiologists is already calling Anthem out. And clearly, this policy will pressure surgeons to rush through procedures, potentially increasing the risk of mistakes. And who will bear the brunt of those mistakes? The patients, of course. Now, this raises so many questions, like what happens if a patient's life is put at risk because a surgeon felt pressured to rush through a procedure? And who will be held accountable for the consequences of this policy change? And what does this say about the state of our healthcare system under the current leadership? So with that said, let's take a look at these videos as different people react to this. I will be right back.
We have some huge breaking news right now. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield has now changed its policies where it will not pay for the full duration of anesthesia during a surgery if the time of the surgery runs longer than the insurance company expected. This is one of the craziest situations you will hear all day. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield specifically changed its policy relating to 3 states. The states are Connecticut, New York, and Missouri. And what Anthem is saying is that it will predetermine the time a surgeon should take to complete a surgery. And if the time a surgeon takes to complete a surgery goes past the predetermined time, and a patient needs more anesthesia, then the insurance company will not pay the bill for any allotted time over the predetermined time. And the American Society of Anesthesiologists is calling Anthem out this evening. Because think about it, this policy would incentivize surgeons to perform surgeries faster, potentially increasing mistakes. And if the surgeon doesn't, then you know who's footing the bill? The patient, who's going to pay more money because they need anesthesia. Everyone needs to hear what's happening right now. Comment below your thoughts, spread the word, and follow along to stay up to date on all the news you need to know about.
So you asked, for people's input, and this is just my input. About 7, oh my gosh, my son's 7 already. So about 7 years ago, I had my tubes tied. I have kidney problems, and the survival rate for my surgery was 70%, and with me not knowing math, I was like, that sounds great. Well, long story short, I had complications. My surgery, from it going from a 3-hour surgery, turned into a 5.5-hour surgery, and I can't imagine paying that amount of money for me getting stuff that I needed.
He's saying that they won't pay for the full duration of your anesthesia if your surgery lasts longer than the doctor's quoted to the insurance company. They're just not going to pay for it. Why does anyone pay for insurance? All of these companies need to. What do we want? National health care. When do we want it? Yesterday.
And you wonder why you're getting pew-pewed and shit. Seriously, this has got to be the most dumb shit that I've ever heard. Please, go watch that video. Literally, right after a CEO gets pew-pewed, they start changing policies. And not only that, the guy gets pew-pewed, and they still have their freaking meeting without any concern for their well-being or safety on what had happened to one of their fellow CEOs. Are you seriously thick-skulled? You really think this is going to be the end of it? No. You guys have created this war upon the poor, and now they're reacting. So good luck with your lives, you dumbasses. No profit above people.
So we have insurance adjusters deciding how long an actual surgery should take. Oh, great.
Okay, that is talking about Blue Cross Blue Shield and how they're no longer going to pay for anesthesia in 3 states: Connecticut, New York, and Missouri. if it runs over what they think a surgery should take. I don't think that the person who visited the local CEO of United Health is done with his work yet.
You should watch that whole video for context. To the CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield, what would appear to be a professional hitman canceled the life insurance policy of another healthcare insurance CEO. I just want to give you some heartfelt advice. Think real carefully if this is the route you want to go, because they haven't caught that guy yet.
Hey, Blue Cross Blue Shield, are you guys having some second thoughts on that new policy change? Because you should be. That's not going to be popular with the people at all. That's probably... You guys should take a do-over and change that as soon as possible back to being at least pretending like you have a conscience of anything. Yeah, go ahead and rethink that decision. People are going to be mad.
It's kind of ironic that this news about Blue Cross Blue Shield not paying for the full duration of anesthesia came out the same day that the CEO of United Healthcare was gunned down in New York City. Now, violence is not the way to solve things. What happened at the Capitol, for example, was violence, and it's not the way to achieve things. But I can see why it happens. We've tried to use the political system to make life better. We've tried to elect people to make things better for us. We've tried to pass laws, and maybe those laws get bastardized in committee, and the rich people use their money to get them not even passed at all. Or if they do get passed, the Supreme Court will throw it out. The wealthy have been attacking the middle class for decades. They're taking money from us and putting it into their own pockets, and then telling us that how dare they tax them, or else we won't make you jobs. You should just be thankful for the jobs that you have. And people have had enough. This is a French Revolution moment. The oligarchy should be scared, because people have tried to use the system to make things better, and it's been blowing up on our faces, and they've been using the system to make it easier for themselves. They're squeezing us, and people are starting to push back. And I fear you're going to see more of this. I see more attacks on the wealthy. I see more attacks on this oligarchy. People like Elon Musk use all this great wealth they have to basically finance and buy an election and buy their power. And with that power, he's going to do things like cut food stamps, so people who are already hungry are going to starve to death while he goes around in a private jet. He makes more money in a minute than I make in my entire year. I did another video about time as money is time. You know, someone who makes $100,000 a year, that's like 2 days worth of time. His wealth is worth 10,000 years of time, if you equate dollars to minutes. Think about that. And people are pushing back. And though it's abhorrent that this gentleman was, I could understand why it's happening.
So isn't that fun? United Healthcare says they're not going to pay for anesthesia on patients longer than they deem necessary. But it's only in 3 states. One of those states is Missouri, where I'm at. And I got surgery on Friday.
Do you know how incredibly cheap you have to be to shut somebody's gas off?
Does anybody else remember in the 90s when Domino's Pizza promised to deliver your pizza within 30 minutes or it was free? And then they realized that was a bad idea because it incentivized drivers to drive unsafely, to move faster than they were safely able to move. I wonder if these insurance people were around for that. This is such a bad idea. This is how you take a free market capitalist apologist like me and turn me against you.
All right, go watch that video. Very important. This policy change will affect 3 states. I know he mentioned New York and Missouri, and I cannot remember the third one now off the top of my head. But if you're in one of those states, Call, cancel your insurance. Let them know why you're canceling. Let them know this policy is not okay. Switch insurances. We are in open enrollment period. Go do it now. Blue Cross is in all 50 states. They are testing the waters to see if they can get away with this policy. And I will guarantee you, if they don't lose enough people, and people in the first areas don't fight it enough, they're going to spread it across the country. We are going to see this policy expand. Fight it now while you can.
Come here, little buddy. Come here, little buddy. Come here, little buddy. You know the reason why they did that? You see the CEO of the United Health guy right at a hotel, and you sitting up here spraying all these lies to these folks? That's the reason why they changed that shit, bro. If you do your research on that stuff, now Blue Shield want to come up and give you all these opportunities and stuff. See, you want to listen to the situation. And I hope a lot of people agree with this, because that's what they did. You got to think of it, bro. Come here, buddy.
You know, in this day and age, a lot of insurance companies are making changes that are really detrimental to the consumer. And it's really unfortunate. But as you all know, in recent news, we just had a CEO, John Wick, as you say it, as you could put it. And not to wish unaliving for anybody, but there are a lot of people who were customers of that company who read that obituary with great delight. And yet you got another company making similar moves that are also detrimental to the people who are paying for the services. Just saying.
As another insurance makes terrible decisions to cut coverage of the most essential care, there is only one hero who can save us.
Wow. The greed is strong with this one, isn't it? Here's the thing. The insurance company could no longer claim culpability. They announced it. They sent letters to all of the people that will be affected in those states. I just hope that they have enough funding to cover all of the wrong lawsuits they'll be receiving. I mean, after all, it will definitely hit their bottom line. Who the hell made them in charge of being panel? As there's no current law in the books to rein them in. Because Reagan sure as hell made sure of that. Actually, that was done in the 70s. But Reagan emphasized it. So yeah, premeditated because of their own announcement. And they acknowledge that they are making these changes. But accessory... But oh, it's not about the money. They're trying to save money. At our expense. So, definitely run and find out moment. It just won't go the way they intended it to. At all.
I think this is the point in time, the spark in the road of where everything ignites. I think this is the point where we need to go and cancel our health insurance coverage and deny these health insurance companies our money. We need to deny them the things that they completely deny to us, which is access, affordability, care, human decency, and the fact that if you go and you read these comments in these people's comment sections, like, everybody's suffering already. Like, people who are like, oh, well, more, everybody is, there's so many right now as a result of the lack of care that people get in this country. And if, like, I don't know, how do you say as a collective, well, certain people are okay, but like, that's the thing. We need to start thinking as a collective. And when we do that, we take the power back and make these insurance companies or whoever is writing the laws to make it so that we are the ones in control and we can dictate how our healthcare is run. Like, gosh, like everybody needs to get on board. Everybody needs to understand that at the end of the day, what does everybody want? To be taken care of and not have to be hit with a $4,000 deductible, a $6,000 deductible, spending almost $3,400 a year on healthcare. Like, it's insane we put up with this. All because what? One CEO we're just going to like talk about it and then move on? No. Like, this is the reason people are talking about this, because it's important. And people's lives are important. And if we say that, oh, well, more people are like, so many people are suffering if we go and we cancel our health insurance. So many people are suffering now. Like, it is happening right now. And I think we're all guilty of just like pushing it off or being just, zoned or droned out because of the media just convincing us that, oh, it's not that important because there's a certain number of people that are okay with their health insurance companies. It's like, no, but if all of us are being hurt by our health insurances, everybody is hurt by our health insurances. And that's truth. And if everybody just gets involved and just goes along with the plan, it's bound to change. Things can actually change if everybody gets on board. But it needs to happen. They're going to get scared and things are going to start shaping in the way that we want them to. So, I don't know. Of course, there's going to be people that are like, that's so dangerous. This oppressive healthcare system we have in this country is dangerous already. So miss me with that bullshit. How about you go and you read those comment sections of Brian Thompson and you let me know how everybody has been violated in some way, shape, or form by a health insurance company. So if you want to sit this one out, go.
Now, initially, this is what Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield said in their new policy. But after facing intense backlash over its new policy that would have left patients on the hook for anesthesia costs if a surgery ran longer than expected, the insurance company did announce that it's reversing costs. As I said earlier, this policy change sparked widespread outrage, with many medical professionals and patient advocates warning that it would put lives at risk by pressuring surgeons to rush through procedures, which is the truth. And the American Society of Anesthesiologists had also spoken out against the policy, highlighting the potential dangers of prioritizing efficiency over patient safety. Well, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield said Thursday that the health insurance provider is reversing a policy that was set to go into effect in February that would have limited anesthesia coverage during surgeries and other procedures, a change that had prompted an outcry from some physicians and lawmakers. Now, the policy, which would have covered Anthem's plans in Connecticut, New York, and Missouri, was disclosed in recent weeks, with the company's New York unit posting a notice on December 1st that the policy would have excluded people under 22 years old and maternity care. Now, according to the original policy statement, Anthem had said it would pay only for anesthesia treatments for the length of time that a procedure or surgery is estimated to require based on the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services physician work time values. Now, the insurer noted that claims for anesthesia above the established number of minutes would be denied. In an email to CBS News on Thursday, Anthem said it was backing away from the policy and added there had been widespread misinformation about an update to our anesthesia policy. As a result, we have decided to not proceed with this policy change, an Anthem spokesperson wrote in an email. To be clear, it never was and never will be the policy of Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield to not pay for medically necessary anesthesia services. The proposed update to the policy was only designed to clarify the appropriateness of anesthesia consistent with well-established clinical guidelines. Now, before the announcement of Anthem's reversal, the plan had drawn criticism from medical professionals as well, as Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat, who wrote on social media on Wednesday that the plan is appalling, saddling patients with thousands of dollars in surprise, additional medical debt, And for what? Just to boost corporate profits? Murphy wrote, reverse this decision immediately. Now, Connecticut Comptroller Sean Scallon told the Hartford Courant Thursday that the policy would not take place in his state after negotiating with the insurer. After hearing from people across the state about this concerning policy, my office reached out to Anthem, and I'm pleased to share this policy will no longer be going into effect here in Connecticut. Now, in a statement last month, the American Society of Anesthesiologists also called on Anthem to reverse the policy. With this new policy, Anthem will arbitrarily predetermine the time allowed for anesthesia care during a surgery or procedure. The group said, if an anesthesiologist submits a bill where the actual time of care is longer than Anthem's limit, Anthem will deny payment for the anesthesiologist's care. Now, the insurer's new policy could result in denials of coverage to patients who might need more anesthesia because their surgery is difficult or unusual, or if a complication occurs, the group added. This is just the latest in a long line of appalling behavior by commercial health insurers looking to drive their profits up at the expense of patients and physicians providing essential care, said Donald E. Arnold, an anesthesiologist and president of American Society of Anesthesiologists. Now, this outrageous policy breaks the trust between Anthem and its policyholders who expect their health insurer to pay physicians for the entirety of the care they need. Now, broadly, anesthesia is billed by adding the number of anesthetic-based units needed for a procedure to the amount of time a procedure takes. Payment varies depending on whether the payer is a government program like Medicare or a commercial health insurance program. Now, according to the American Society of Anesthesiologists, ASA, while staffing also affects Medicare payments for anesthesia services, most commercial plans are based on a single anesthesia clinician. Anthem's announcement of the change in policy noted that industry standard coding requirements and the ASA's anesthesia formula will not be affected. Now, the ASA had called on Anthem to immediately reverse the change. A press release opposing the change stated that anesthesia service payments are based on several factors, including the exact amount of time for anesthesiologists to deliver care pre-operatively during the operation and when transitioning the patient to the recovery unit afterwards. Honestly, the thought of Anthem's original policy is still sending shivers down my spine. Like, can you imagine the pressure that surgeons would have been under just to complete procedures within a certain time frame, or to avoid leaving patients with exorbitant medical bills? This would have been a recipe for disaster, and I'm not surprised that the medical community was up in arms about it. Think about it. Surgeons would have been forced to rush through complex procedures, potentially compromising patient safety and outcomes. The stakes are already high in the operating room, but adding the pressure of a ticking clock would have even been catastrophic. Mistakes would have been made and lives would have been lost. Like, it's not just the patients who would have suffered. Either surgeons would have been placed in an impossible position, forced to choose between their duty of care and the risk of financial ruin for their patients. The stress and anxiety would have been palpable, and it's likely that many surgeons would have felt like they were being asked to sacrifice their professional integrity on the altar of profit. And let's not forget the patients themselves, who would have been left with the very real fear of financial devastation if their procedure ran long. Imagine lying on the operating table knowing that every minute that takes by could add thousands of dollars to your medical bill. It's a terrifying prospect, and one that would have caused untold stress and anxiety for patients and their families. Thankfully, Anthem has since sense and reversed its policy, but the fact that it was even proposed in the first place, it's just a reminder of the dangers of prioritizing profits over people. We have finally come to the end of the video, but what do you, our viewers, have to say? Share your thoughts, your views as well in the comment section. Thank you for always watching, and see you in our next video as we bring you another interesting video.